Alright, so I just got another spawn from my Kribensis, and I thought, what better time is it than now to do a care and breeding guide on this beautiful fish. It's actually a very colourful, smaller cichlid, so great for your smaller aquariums if you're a cichlid lover. And if you're a little sick of breeding endlers and platies and other live bearers, then this is probably one of the best first egg-laying fish to start off with. I don't want to talk any longer, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so the Pelvicachromis Pulchur, or the Kribensis, is a very popular fish. You're going to find these at most fish stores, but these guys are super easy to keep. They're going to be your mid to lower dwelling aquarium fish, so they're going to hang out more at the bottom of the tank, and because of this, they are more of an earth dwelling fish, meaning that they're going to sift through the substrate. So I recommend you have some smooth substrate with your Kribensis, like sand. Just make sure the pieces aren't too large, where when the Kribensis are going to dig through the substrate, and it's going to come back out of their gill flaps, that it's not going to get stuck and get jammed and possibly choke them and kill them. So to avoid that, I do recommend just sand or fine gravel, or maybe even aqua soils work for some people, I believe. There are a couple different types of Kribensis. So you've got the common Kribensis. I keep the albino Kribensis, but the exact same thing as a common, just that they look different. To keep them is super easy. Just the basic requirements you're going to need to keep the pH at a little softer, about that 6.5 to 7 to 6.5. Keep it there and it'll be perfect for your Kribensis. Since these fish are tropical, keep the temperature at about that 24 to 26 degrees Celsius mark. It's more important that you just maintain the temperature consistently, unless you're breeding them and you're doing a cold water change. But if you're just like keeping them for fun, just try and get that temperature nice and stable and you'll have great success. And then also with the Kribensis, they're going to get about that 8 centimeter mark, meaning you're going to need a tank probably no smaller than 20 gallons. For a breeding setup, 10 to 15 gallons as a minimum works fine. I'm breeding mine in a 15 gallon, but in the long term, and if you have more than one, definitely a 20 gallon or larger. So also when it comes to food and feeding, these fish do get fairly big, that 5 to 8 centimeter mark, right? So they're going to be able to fit sinking pellets, anything that sinks. You can feed them the larger foods too. Since they do have a decently large mouth, they can also fit flakes easily as well. And frozen foods like bloodworms, and also freeze-dried foods. Any leftover food, they'll just pick off the bottom over time too, which works really well for both of us, I guess. Now, when you have more than one Kribensis and it's a smaller tank, like a 20 gallon to 30 gallon, then Kribensis can get really aggressive. So just keep that in mind. All you got to do to reduce this aggression, or just make sure that it doesn't affect the other fish, is that you have lots of structure in the aquarium, like driftwood and rocks. Just have basically little sections throughout the tank where the Kribensis can make their own little territories, because Kribensis are territorial, especially the males, and they will create their own little breeding sites and get really aggressive. And if your whole tank's open space with just a couple plants here and there and maybe some rocks, it's still going to make it easy for the Kribensis to get confused and claim the whole tank as its territory. Therefore, if you have other fish with your Kribensis, they're just going to basically attack any fish that goes near it, I guess, or swims anywhere in the tank. So in that case, just make sure you at least block off some little areas throughout the tank, and some little structures, so that the Kribensis can make their own little territories. All right, now let's get into the breeding side of the Kribensis, really fun part. And I'm doing it, and I reckon these guys are great if you haven't bred egg-laying fish before, because they make the process really easy. Now, Kribensis do care for their own fry, so keep that in mind. They're not like live bearers where they're going to eat their fry. But all you're going to need for Kribensis is, first of all, get your pair. To tell male and females, males will usually have more elongated fins, usually pointier fins too, and they're also going to have more coloration usually on vinage, but less coloration on the body, whereas females will have a pink belly. But all you have to do is pick out the male and females, and then once you've got that pair, all you need is some cave in the tank. You can easily just make it out of a plant pot, either a plastic pot, cut a little opening just small enough so the Kribensis can fit through it and easily guard it from any fish that might want to come and raid the nest. So they're basically going to go into that cave and spawn, and that's what they use that for, and that's why it's crucial if you're breeding the Kribensis. It can be done in the community aquarium as long as you keep it well away from the main areas where the other fish swim around, and the female will just be guarding her eggs once she lays them, and the Kribensis will raise a fry from there, maybe give them a couple tries, and they will eventually get some fry to at least decent size where they won't get eaten by the other fish in the tank. Well, all in all, I reckon Kribensis, are a great beginner fish in general, but when you're getting into fish breeding, and specifically egg-laying fish, then I reckon these are one of the great fish to start off with. Of course, there's other fish like danios and egg scatterers and other dwarf cichlids that are really easy to breed. But these guys have done really well for me, and I'm sure they'll do well for you as long as you get the basic requirements right. And good luck with your Kribensis. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you all in the next video.